Hey everyone, as some of you might know, we talk about our favorite bets on our card each week in the NFL, but we understand that we're not really providing an analysis for each game in the NFL, just the games that we like. So we want to provide you an opportunity to get more insight into our heads for some different games. We're thinking that each week we'll talk to you guys about analysis for the primetime games. That's Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. Talking through our analysis, maybe a recap of the previous week's games, and then some bets that we're leaning towards that aren't necessarily on our card for each week.
Yeah. And if you guys are interested in more bets and bets that we're more confident in, you guys should check out the link above. You can see our favorite weekly plays and also check out our lock of the week.
If you're going to bet anything, make sure you bet our locks.
And with that, we'll jump right into the lines for this week.
Yeah, we got the Giants in Washington playing the football team. You can see on the left, the line open at the over-under was 43, and the line was Washington -3. Depending on what book you're on, that line is teetering and tottering towards 3 and 3.5, depending on what you got. But you can see that the over-under is drastically down from 43, around 40.5, 41. So a lot of people are liking the under this game. These are two offenses that did not really shine in week one, so people aren't expecting too many points from these offenses, but also both these defenses are very formidable. I think especially the Giants secondary and the football team's front seven. So a lot of good defensive personnel here, not a ton of offense, especially when it comes to the run game with the Giants. People are thinking Taylor Heineke's a backup quarterback. So that's probably not going to throw the ball and be too efficient. So you can see that these lines are reflecting that this is going to be a very low scoring game, but with the football team getting an edge, winning by around 3.5 points, people are thinking.
Yeah, I think these lines are pretty accurate. And if I jumped on it earlier, I really would have liked betting the under at 43, but I just don't think there's a ton of value at 40.5. You never know if there's going to be a defensive touchdown, big play. Like this line could easily hit the over, honestly. So I don't love it at 40.5. If I were to still bet it, I'd probably still take the under, honestly, just because these are two great defenses. But I don't think there's a ton of value at betting the under at where it stands.
Yeah, if anything, I really like using a teaser and teasing the under because I don't see these guys getting to like 46, 47 mark in this game. Just not enough offense. And especially with the football team committing to the run, I think that's going to drain a lot of clock too. But let's take a recap and see of what these teams did last week against their opponents.
Yeah, so first we'll look at the Giants. And so they played the Broncos last week. And I was wondering what you kind of took away from this game.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Giants lost by 13, but on the stat sheet, at least in the passing game, the Giants looked a lot better than what you might have seen on the sheet. I mean, Daniel Jones thrown for 267 yards, a pass rating of 90, which isn't too bad. He got sacked twice, and that's going to be a theme all year for this Giants team. This O-line is really not good at protecting Daniel Jones and not effective in establishing a run game. You can see that the Giants' best rusher is Daniel Jones, and he doesn't even need as many attempts as Saquon Barkley. I heard that this Giants offensive line is only providing Saquon Barkley 0.8 yards before contact for each run. So Saquon can't even get a yard off the line without a defensive lineman or a linebacker already getting to him and slowing him down. There's a reason why they're only giving him 10 yards a carry. Yeah, he's been less effective than his rookie year, but his offensive line is not doing him any favors. So I expected the same kind of thing in this Giants offense all year, not really relying on the run because you can't with how bad this offensive line is providing space. Daniel Jones dropping back a lot, throwing a lot, but also getting sacked a lot too. And you see this Giants receiving core is really solid with Shepard, Slayton, and Galladay. These are all above average receivers that Jones can throw to any one of them at any time, and that they're a good option to throw to. And Kyle Rudolph, who's stepping in for Evan Ingram during his injury, he's a little slowed down, a little old, but he's still a good tight end and a good option for Daniel Jones to throw to. So it's not the worst thing that the Giants are forced to throw a lot because getting Galladay in the offseason is something that they really needed because they really can't rely on the run game at all. And you can see these stats. Shepard and Galladay and Slayton all had some pretty good yards, and this is against probably the best secondary league against the Broncos. And so I think when they play the Washington football team on Thursday night, that you're going to see even more explosiveness and even more passing yards from Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and this is really interesting to look at because I think the Washington football team's one weakness is more their pass defense. At least that showed definitely last week against the Chargers. Herbert looked great, and I don't expect Jones to play that well. So it's kind of a tougher read, but they're definitely not going to be able to run the ball very much with Washington's front seven. So it's really going to come down to how well Daniel Jones can play in this game.
I agree.
And then we'll just take another look at the Washington football teams last week. We had Heineke come in early in the game, and I was wondering if you kind of view that as a potential downgrade, upgrade, also in comparison to Daniel Jones.
First comparing Heineke to Fitzpatrick, I think it's tough, but I would honestly give the edge right now to Heineke just because he's a little bit younger. He's more apt to scramble and get some yards, as you can see in that rushing breakdown. But I think that he's got a little bit lower risk tolerance. So he's not going to force the ball as much as you see Fitzpatrick doing in most of his offensive schemes. And you could see he came in, he only incompleted 4 of his passes. He averaged 8 yards a throw, 8 yards of completion, which is pretty good. So he's throwing the ball downfield to some good deep threats in McLaurin and Logan Thomas. He had a really good pass rating, which is about 30 points higher than Daniel Jones. So I don't know if personally I would give him the edge. Like I said, the Broncos defense is really, really good, especially in the secondary. So you can't knock Daniel Jones for not playing terrific against those guys because no one's going to. I would still give the edge to Daniel Jones in terms of quarterback play. But the fact that Heineke can rely on a run game and has a better number one receiver in Terry McLaurin, I still don't think he's that far behind Daniel Jones. And we also haven't seen too much of Taylor Heineke. So he's only played in a handful of games in his career. You have to think that if he really is competent, he's only going to keep figuring out with more and more games. So I'm really just excited to see how he builds on his game with more experience in the NFL too.
Also, just to add on, just a smaller point, but we mentioned that we like the under in this game, maybe not necessarily at 40.5, but when you're looking at Taylor Heineke versus Fitzpatrick, Heineke, Ian mentioned, he's not more as apt to taking risks. He's not going to chuck it downfield as much as Fitzpatrick will. And I think that helps the under even more. So if you're looking to tease that under, I think it's definitely a good move with Heineke in the game instead of Fitzpatrick. And I know you mentioned the rushing game a little bit, but do you think I kind of feel like Washington has a big advantage in the run game
definitely
in this matchup?
Yeah, I totally agree. I really like Antonio Gibson this year, just in general. You can see 20 yards a carry. The Washington football team's going to rely on this guy a lot, as they should. He's incredibly talented. This guy was a wide receiver in college, so not only is he a great running back, but he's got great footwork, and he's a threat out of the backfield, which is a great combo with J.D. McKissick, who's also a really good receiving back. When you look at these numbers for their 3 running backs, Gibson, Patterson, McKissick, obviously Gibson carrying the load, but all 3 of these guys are averaging a lot of yards per carry. It just shows the push that this offensive line is getting right off the ball and giving these guys a lot of space to make tackles. A 27-yard run is not easy for anybody. So showing that Antonio Gibson can do that is showing that he's getting space, getting a lot of yards before contact, obviously making guys miss and making big plays. So I really like the running back and the backfield just in Washington in general. And you're right. I totally agree. They have a much bigger advantage this game in the rushing game. And I think that's going to make all the difference come Thursday night.
Yeah, because at the end of the game, you want to force Daniel Jones to make plays.
Exactly.
He's still very turnover apt. I could even see him. I think he'll throw an interception and have a fumble this game, honestly.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm definitely seeing a Chase Young strip sack this game.
Yeah.
Those guys can be in the backfield all day.
Yeah. And then with that said, just kind of going through a little overview, we'll give some of our leans, kind of like general predictions. None of these bets are official, though. They're not on our weekly cards, but this is just some of our thought process and what we're kind of looking at for today or for this Thursday night game.
Yeah, we might be betting these personally, but it's definitely not advice for you guys all to go take these bets because we're not as confident as the ones that we're putting on our cards from our other videos. So take me through your same game parlay, Sliwa. What are you thinking here?
All right, so Taylor Heineke at over 22.5 rushing yards. So he came into the game a little bit late this last weekend, and he still finished with 17 rushing yards. And they were down a lot, so they were having to throw the ball deep, try to stop the clock. There wasn't as much of a reason for him to be running. So I think still getting 17, not playing the full game is a pretty good number. And this line actually opened at 18.5. So the public, or maybe not even the public, but the sharp money, a ton of money is going on this Taylor Heineke over rushing yards. And just an additional fact to that, Heineke, when he plays 70% of the snaps of the game, he's averaging 40 rushing yards per game. Last year in the wild card against the Buccaneers, he had 46 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. This guy he's kind of always playing for his career every game. He's a backup quarterback. He's going to get his job to start, or his chance to start this week. He's not going to play it safe. He's going to take, or at least as far as running.
The guy's got nothing to lose. I mean, if he gets injured, he gets injured. But, like, he's not an Aaron Rodgers type guy or like a Pat Mahomes where you have to, like, avoid big hits because you're getting paid millions of dollars. This guy just wants to go out and play football and give his best shot to win the game. Yeah. And that's taking a big hit to get a couple extra yards. He's going to do it.
Yeah, he's trying to get another contract, another deal once his current one's up. But, yeah, like, so he's a little less risk, or he just doesn't take as many risks in the passing game, but we expect him to take more risks in the run game. And then this is why I don't want to give this as an official play, is because I'm definitely biased towards the Washington football team. So I just feel like I can't give an honest opinion on this game, but I like Washington football team to win at home. I don't see them going 0-2 at home to start the year. That'd be a terrible start. Pretty much put them out of contention, not necessarily because it's so early, but you can't lose your first 2 home games, especially against a divisional team that you're favored against. And then, like we've been mentioning all throughout the video, the over-under I think is pretty fair at 40.5, and I think the under could still hit on that. So I'm going to go on an alternate line to 48.5. And I really don't think they hit over on that. Like, I feel like there's a tiny chance, really.
One of these teams is not scoring 20 points, if not both. So I really like that under at 48.5. For me, I like the Washington football team -3. I think it's more about the Giants than it is the football team this week. They cannot get in a run game, so they're going to have to rely on the pass so much. And if Daniel Jones is dropping back 35, 40-plus times, that Washington front line on defense is going to get to him a lot. Like, I'm expecting 3 to 4 sacks this game out of guys like Montez Sweat and Chase Young. So I just think that if you're forced to pass the ball against such a good pass rush, then things just aren't going to go your way with either rush throws and interceptions, sacks, QB fumbles, things like that. I just think that if I'm Washington, I'm going this game running the ball with my good run game, check down some of my really good running backs that can catch the ball in the backfield, relying on Logan Thomas and Terry McLaurin. Play it safe, get points, and then let your defense do the rest, because I don't see the Giants doing a ton with such a little run game. You can't be one-dimensional in the NFL, because teams are going to scheme against you, put personnel on the field to take away the thing that your strength. So it's tough to be just one-dimensional here.
Even just to add on, the Chargers only put up 20 points, and I thought personally that Justin Herbert played in amazing. Like,
I thought so too.
All his passes were right on the money besides the interception, and they still only put up 20 points. So I have a hard time seeing the Giants put up more than 20 this game.
I agree. But then I do like Daniel Jones on the over for his passing yards, just because he had 267, I think, last week against what I think the best secondary in the NFL. The reason I like the over is because, like I said, he's going to be in passing situations a lot of down and distances when this offensive line is holding the defensive line because they're getting to Chase or getting to Daniel Jones. He's getting sacked. This in second down and 9 because Saquon's only getting 1 yard off the ball. There's going to be a lot of down and distance passing scenarios here. And if you watch that Washington football Chargers game, if they're playing man, these guys are getting beat a lot by competent receivers, even besides Keenan Allen. Kenny Galladay, Darius Slay, and these guys, if they're getting man coverage, they're going to get open. And if Daniel Jones can get time, that's to me the biggest thing. If he can get a little bit of time in the pocket, I really like his over. That's something that I've already bet on. Just not something I'm confident enough to put it on our professional picks card. So I like the Washington football team to win in a close game, but I think the way the things are going to shake out is Daniel Jones is going to be forced to pass the ball a lot just because they have no run game. Daniel Jones is their best rusher, their most efficient and their most effective rusher. It's not a good thing unless you're Lamar Jackson, when your quarterback is carrying the bulk of your run game. Yeah. So,
and when we're just just a point that we don't hate Saquon Barkley. The Giants just have no offensive line. Like, they can't, like Ian mentioned, they only provide 0.8 yards before contact.
It's terrible.
So, like, we want to just recognize the fact that Saquon is a great running back, but he's he's just so ineffective with their offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, he's guys on my fantasy team. I hope he can start figuring out. But the Giants GM said they're going to start building this O-line to protect Jones and get a run game, and they haven't done that. So I wouldn't expect anything to change in the short run.
Yeah. So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. We want to know in the comments if you guys want to see more of these previews. We're probably going to do them anyways, but just let us know what you guys think. If there's anything else you want to see from us. And we hope you guys like and subscribe. We're loving the influx of more comments, likes, views. We really appreciate it. And we love you guys' opinions, whether you guys are agreeing or disagreeing with us. So keep that up.
Yeah, keep letting us know what you're thinking. Definitely, if you like this video, check out our other ones, whether you guys are in Survivor Leagues or looking to make some weekly NFL bets. We're trying to help you guys in any way possible. Enjoy the games more, be more knowledgeable fans, and make a little bit more money on the side too. So good luck this next NFL week, guys. You guys all got this.